Hello and welcome to On the Way Moments, a podcast from St. Anthony on the Desert in beautiful Arizona. But today we actually took it on the road, and here we are in beautiful, sunny Superior, Arizona. The podcast here is what we get people's stories and hear about their on the way moments and their backstories. And today we have a very special guest, James Bruzzi. I'm excited to welcome here. James has an amazing story to tell, and that's why we're here today in Superior. So welcome, James.
Well, thank you, Will. It's great to be here.
It's good to be here. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
So we would start by can you just give us a little background about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born in Connecticut. I went to college in Rhode Island. Shortly after college, I moved to Arizona. When I first got here, I lived in Chandler. I had a chain of coffee shops in the valley to start with, and that I also had a landscaping company at the same time. The coffee shops ended up being a victim of the recession, but the landscaping company actually did really well during that time. Then I ended up selling that company. I worked at St. Anthony on the Desert for some time. And now I have started a vineyard in Young, Arizona, which is in Gila County. And here right now today, we are in our first remote tasting room, which is in Superior, Arizona.
Okay. So that was a lot, right? It was awesome. That was all my questions, actually. So tell us about how did coffee become your thing when you were chain of coffee?
So actually, that was a business that I'd come up with when I was in college with a few of my friends. So we actually had a business plan before I even came out to Arizona that we were going to open a coffee shop called Nomad Coffee.
Okay.
And it was this very specific business plan. It was a coffee shop based in Fountain Hills.
Okay.
And while I was driving around Fountain Hills looking at locations, I found a coffee shop there that was for sale. And that's Mountain View Coffee Company. It's still there today. And I thought that was a pretty great name. So we ended up making the parent company was Nomad Coffee LLC. And so that still came to fruition. And then Mountain View Coffee Company was the trade name that we operated under.
Okay. And do you still like coffee?
Of course. I still like coffee.
Of course.
That's a lifelong love.
That's right. Like, you can never go wrong there.
Yep. Even now we have an espresso machine.
Okay.
Yes,
you still got all that good stuff
always.
there. Yeah.
Custom roasted coffee beans.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Well, there you go.
Right here.
He has some here in the remote tasting room. So the move to Young and experience. Where is Young?
So Young is right in the center of Gila County.
Okay.
And Gila County is kind of a almost like a sideways 8 shape with Payson at one end and Globe at the other. So if you've been to Payson, you've been to Gila County. If you've been to Globe, you've been to Gila County. But Young is definitely it's a remote community. It's about a 2-hour drive from the next big town.
Yeah.
It is only reachable by dirt roads, so it's almost like going to an island. You know, it's a little community way out in the middle of the forest.
I've been there a couple times, and it is on a dirt road, and it's awesome to get there, and it's a beautiful community.
It is.
I mean, you're there obviously.
It is. It's spectacularly beautiful, especially right now with the monsoons, everything being so green.
I bet it's even greener up there, and it's like 20 degrees cooler.
Oh yeah, usually 20 to 30 degrees cooler than Phoenix, which is a relief.
It's nice, yeah. Because you still have a house in Fountain Hills, and you get over there, and
I do, yeah. From time to time, I have to go shopping, so I end up sweating and then running back up the mountain as fast as I can,
just to get.
Yep.
Yeah. I need to eat cooler again.
As soon as it feels hot,
it's too hot.
Gotta get to a higher elevation.
So I guess I never realized that vineyards were a thing in Arizona until actually you and I had talked about that. So how did wine become a part of your?
So it was actually it was something that was relatively unplanned. You know, the vineyard actually started as my weekend house. It was just a kind of retreat, like a 1-bedroom cabin. But it was an 18-acre property.
Wow.
And it had historically been farmed as pinto beans or black-eyed peas, rather.
Yeah.
And so it was a property that wasn't currently in agriculture, but all like the stones had been cleared. It was ready for agriculture, basically. So the idea of the grapes was first to just have a nice drive up to the house, just kind of as decoration. And kind of planting the first grapes was just based on just names
Right.
like Cabernet or whatever, and so we would just plant these vines and they would die in the wintertime. It would be too cold or the climate wouldn't be right, and it kind of became this challenge, and then my dad ended up retiring out in Arizona. He came out and he was a commercial landscaper his whole life.
Okay.
So as time went on, I would come up on weekends and suddenly there was a vineyard there, and it kind of got to where there was 5,000 grapevines, and it was this we really have to do something with this.
Yeah.
So we reached out to winemakers all over the Southwest. At the first round, every single one just told us no.
Wow.
We're the first commercial vineyard in Gila County. We're over 100 miles from the next wine growing region.
Yeah.
And we're way out there. And so after that first round, I kind of went back to my list. The first approach was this, like, good evening, would you like to buy my grapes? Just is very like maybe overly professional.
Right.
And then went back the second time through that list and was like, if I could pick one person or one company to work with, who would it be?
Yeah.
And that was Eric Glomsky at Page Spring Cellars, and he's kind of a legend of Arizona wine.
Okay.
So I went back to him, but with a completely different approach this time, something more along the lines of like, please help me, and so and I get it, they get a lot of calls. We get a lot of calls. There'll be people that have 3 grapevines in their yard and call because they're ready to make their vintage.
This wine?
Exactly. So I understand the apprehension now, but he came out. He was very impressed, and we've been partnered with Page Spring Cellars ever since. So we do what's called a custom crush agreement, where we produce our wine at their winery in the Verde Valley, and they have they're just world-class winemakers, world-class facilities, and just a pleasure to work with.
Oh, wow, I didn't realize wine was a thing in Arizona. I don't know why I'm becoming new to the wine scene.
It is, it's something that has kind of there is actually a history of winemaking in Arizona prior to the oh my goodness, what's it called? The Prohibition. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Prior to the Prohibition.
Really?
For some reason, that word is foreign.
That was
to
a
my
tough
mind.
one. Being in the wine business,
it just doesn't come out right. So before the Prohibition, there had been a significant wine growing operation in Sedona, and that was kind of the first initial vineyards in Arizona, and those were removed during the Prohibition, and the industry kind of went dormant for a very long time. And starting in the 70s and 80s, some vineyards started planting out in southern Arizona, and the industry has kind of just grown and grown and grown. I think now we're close to around 200 farm wineries in the state.
That's wonderful. Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. And yeah, I've heard, because I know you, and you've had some awards from your wines.
Yes, we have. We've entered our wines in a lot of different competitions. One we're most proud of is it was under when we were working with Arizona Stronghold making our wine. The Vidal Blanc, which is our grapes that we grow in Young, won best wine in the state of Arizona.
So that's incredible.
It is.
It is. It actually is quite incredible.
It is.
It's so good.
It is.
I had tasted a little right before. It was very nice. So.
We're very, very proud of our wine. We work very hard every year to make sure that our entire collection is world class. It's not a flight where it'll be, oh, that's okay. We don't keep dump buckets in our tasting room because generally people don't dump their wine.
Right.
They drink it.
They drink it. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good thing. So what happens if you have a bad crop? Have you had that happen yet?
Knock on wood.
Yeah, right.
Thank God. I mean, agriculture is agriculture. Right. For example, our vintages can fluctuate dramatically, especially in grape yields. In 2019, for example, that was probably our worst year growing so far. We had a late frost. We had a series of late frosts after the grapes were out that kind of like frost burned the vines. Vidal Blanc, the varietal that we grow, one of the features of it is that it can do a second flower. So if it is hit by a frost, it can reflower and still have a crop. But then that second crop got hit by a very violent hailstorm in August, which then attracted bees and birds. There was a drought at the same time. So being the only piece of greenery for a very, very long distance, we attracted many elk. And so that year we shared a lot of our grapes with nature.
That's very nice of you. Not on purpose.
And
I figured, didn't you get a scarecrow? Were you out
we
there?
tried. We tried.
Like, get out of here.
I mean, yeah. It was really a 24-hour day operation for a while, but elk don't really care what you think.
No, they don't.
No.
Yeah, they're gonna eat.
They don't. So we actually learned a lot from that year. That was, and we ended up having still, a ton and a half harvest, which is a fairly decent. But then compare that to 2020. Last year we had over, I think somewhere around 15 tons was our harvest. So it's agriculture. This year we did get hit by an early frost again, but we did have that second flower. So we're on track to have a harvest this year that will be late.
Okay.
But it's kind of this, we've always really tried hard to work with nature rather than to control it.
Well, you can't control it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we don't apply any weed sprays. We do all of our weeding by hand. Wow. It's a very, very labor intensive. Thank you. Yeah. Very labor intensive. But it's, in the long run, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
We get our groundwater from an aquifer there, and so it's our land, it's our water, so it's really kind of important to be a good steward of that, I think.
That's very true. So how are we now sitting in Superior? How did you get down to here?
So that's a really fun story, actually. So actually one of the things that we've really made a mission of our business is to invest in local agriculture as much as possible. Support other small farmers, small producers, small artisans, and really kind of incubate that industry as much as possible. And we actually there was an organization called the Food Hub, of which Mila, who you also interviewed, the mayor of Superior, she was a part of, and they actually came to Young one day as they reached out, and that was. Often Young is overlooked. Often we're overlooked as a very small, remote community with maybe even a reputation of being unwelcoming to outsiders. So often we've been overlooked, and it was really one of the first times that I saw another organization actually reaching out to our community.
Take like an interest.
And exactly, and their whole purpose is to generate a local food system, and that was something that was already a passion of ours, already an involvement of ours. So. We started working closely with the Food Hub. We started doing events in Superior, like the Prickly Pear Festival, and it became apparent very quickly that Superior loves our wine, and it became apparent really quickly that we love Superior too. And we can open a tasting room anywhere in the state with our Series 19. So we could have opened in Cottonwood or Old Town Scottsdale or where everyone else has theirs, but. I see Superior as a town that has incredible potential. Yeah. I think, with the leadership here, with the work that Mila does as the mayor, it's one of the most vibrant rural towns in the entire Southwest. Yeah. And with that sort of investment from the government, it leads to business people investing. Yep. And we wanted to be a leader of that. We wanted to be here first, and really we were able to prove a concept here that this is that this will work in Superior, that Superior is absolutely ready for businesses like this, and is absolutely welcoming and encouraging of entrepreneurial efforts.
Absolutely. And that's such an important thing, especially in small towns. That entrepreneurial small business, give everyone a chance that has.
It's very special. Very special.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know. So any other ideas for remote tasting rooms? Any locations? Phoenix.
That's a good question. We opened this one too because of its proximity to Phoenix. Being in Young, it is a bit of a drive.
Up there,
It can get a little bumpy. So not everybody wants to necessarily drive to Young, and Superior is only about an hour away from the valley. It's a beautiful highway drive to get here. So this really has appealed a lot more to our valley-based customers. Right now, we don't have any plans to open new tasting rooms. We always, keep options open. Yeah. We can open 2 under our license, so there always is an option to open one at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, as of right now, we're very happy with our 2.
Yeah, and we are too.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So you and I actually met because you went to St. Anthony, and we got to know each other at Haiti. So talk
Yes.
about your Haiti experience.
Yes. So, wow, this is a great story. When I was attending St. Anthony, I did the EFM program, and at that time, David Page was in charge of the EFM program. And for anybody who remembers David, he was just one of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. One of the most inspirational and incredible people. And for anyone that doesn't know, EFM is it's Education for Ministry is what it stands for. It's a multi-year program, and it was really an incredible experience. Yeah. It really was, and I feel so lucky to have been able to have David in those classes. And one of the days, I remember seeing the things going around with St. Anthony about that David was planning a mission trip to Haiti. And I read the thing, and it was kind of like, if you're high maintenance, you shouldn't go. And I was like, all right, I'm not gonna go. This doesn't sound like it's for me. And then one day after the EFM class, David just came up to me and he said, "So you're actually going to Haiti?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." So, and he goes, "You don't say no to David Page."
You don't say.
Absolutely.
That's exactly how I got to Haiti in 2014.
Mm-hmm. So that was pretty much it.
Okay.
So we went. I've been there.
How many times did you go? Twice?
Twice at least. Yeah, it might have been 3, but at least twice.
Yeah.
There was two full mission trips for sure. Yeah. And it was just another just completely life-changing experience. Yeah. It was the most beautiful place I've ever seen. It was the most terrible place I've ever seen. It was just to see, people just live their lives completely in the open there. Yeah. But yet at the same time they have so much joy in their lives, and joy of in what they do, and pride in
the community.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and it was beautiful to see that.
Yeah.
Often, especially in kind of like these wealthier places, even like Scottsdale, it's like you see people that have everything and are so unhappy. Yeah. And people in Haiti have nothing, and they're so happy. And they don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. They don't know what the future holds, but they've genuinely learned to live in the moment there.
Yeah, it's a beautiful country for sure. And hopefully we'll get to go back in
the
future,
so
in a few years. But so speaking of the future, what are your plans for the future? Still going to run you're still obviously doing the vineyard thing.
Yep.
Any other?
Yep, absolutely. I try to really not plan too hard.
I love it.
I've kind of found with this journey that it is better to not plan. I think that there's been a lot of forks in the road that if I had maybe had a plan, I might have taken a different direction, and that this entire organization and concept and the community built around it is something that has grown organically. And it's just kind of one of those things that I'd rather watch it grow and see where it takes me than to try to control where it goes.
Yep. That's absolutely. Totally get that. So speaking of moments that could take you a different route, we always ask every one of our guests an on-the-way moment in your life. So something that happened in your life that may have changed the course that you thought you were going to go a different direction, but it took you a different direction.
Absolutely. I have a great story about Haiti for that.
All
actually.
Right. I love it.
So you've been to Haiti. You know that the power can be intermittent.
Yes.
It's especially at night, power
when the air comes on and then it clicks off.
Exactly. And I remember there was one evening in the guest house there on one of the trips. It was late. I think Janine, the housekeeper, she had already gone to bed, and there was someone knocking on the door of the guest house. And it was to be honest a little bit creepy,
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And went and kind of like cracked the door, unlocked all the locks, cracked the door, and it was one of the doctors from the hospital. And you just look at him and just see that he was just heartbroken, and so he came in, he asked for a beer out of the fridge. I was like, of course, I kept my Coke bottles frozen in the freezer, so I grabbed one of those, and he just sat down and talked about his night, and about that night there was a child that had been brought into the hospital that was, by the time that they had gotten there, it was too late. That the caregivers for the child had gone to a church before they had gone to the hospital, and it was something that if medical care could have been gotten to the child sooner, they definitely would have survived. And so it was one of those things that you could just see, just the heaviness on him, and just as it was, that was really a pivotal, life-changing moment for me. Just seeing, someone that does so much with so little, relentlessly and constantly, seeing that hospital and seeing what it runs off of, and what they are able to do with literally nothing a lot of the time. And that these people actually work miraculous work every single day with resources that most school nurses here have, just very, very, like, not advanced technology, but meanwhile they take what they have and they do their absolute best with it. And I think that's a lesson to take to life.
And they definitely, you're absolutely right, because they value all the resources, no matter what they have.
Exactly.
More or less, it just goes back to that Haitian community, that Haitian culture of, we don't have a lot.
Exactly.
But we're going to use what we do have.
Exactly.
Yeah. So thank you, James, for sharing that. I think that's a good reminder. So
thank you.
Yeah. So one of the things we also like to ask is, where can people find you online? Are you on social media?
Oh, yes, we're on all the social media.
I wonder.
So you can find us on Facebook at Facebook/Bruzzi Vineyard.
Okay.
You can find us on Instagram at Bruzzi Vineyard. You can find us on YouTube at Bruzzi Vineyard, where you can find some of my culinary videos.
All right.
Very, very fascinating. You can find us now on TikTok.
Wow.
TikTok, Bruzzi Vineyard. And you can also find us on our website at www.bruzzivineyard.com.
And all of those will be in the show notes right below us, so you can get on TikTok and dance. Isn't that videos. A dance dancing? So and then thinking, because you guys have a restaurant too, correct?
Yes, we do.
So
we
it's
have
not just the wine.
Absolutely, yeah. We have a full service tasting room there. So our tasting room in Young is open every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 12 noon to 6 p.m. for wine tastings, daytime dining. We also offer llama meet and greets. We have a herd of rescue llamas that you can meet at our vineyard.
Please go and meet the llamas.
You absolutely should. You should. They are awesome. Incredible. And then every night at 6 p.m. we offer a set menu, reservation only dinner. So that changes every night.
Okay.
And then at least once a month we do a brunch on a Sunday, which is usually midday. And then we do special events regularly. We've been doing historic dinners every month. In September we're doing a pirate dinner. We're doing dinner at Dracula's Castle in October. And in November we're doing Pan Am, where we are recreating actual menus from Pan Am World Airways. I've heard a rumor that Jill might be there in a full flight attendant outfit to serve everyone and direct passengers. It's a rumor.
A rumor was, and Jill, this isn't a rumor, but she was a flight attendant for years.
That is a fact.
Hopefully she will guide us to the food.
I hope so. I hope so. It's a dream, but I hope it comes true.
And so you are also the obviously the creative director of Bruzzi Vineyard's menu.
Yes.
So
we also do our quarterly solstice and equinox dinners.
All right.
Which are really spectacular. Live music. We have a Choctaw medicine woman. They're spectacular events, just multi-course, incredible. So,
is there lodging in Young?
There is, absolutely. Okay. There's a full range of options. Okay. So For example, if you like something a little more high end, we recommend Tierra Madre Vineyard, which is a newer vineyard in Young. Has a beautiful bed and breakfast on site there. And, you know, there's everything right down to camping in the forest.
There you go.
You know, on our property, we do the Harvest Host program, which is people with RVs can come spend the night and dry camp on our property. So we do up to 5 of those per night.
Well, there you go. So if you have... There's options.
There is options.
So you don't have to drive, of course.
Exactly. Yeah, and then here in Superior, exactly.
Yeah.
This location here is open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. From 12 noon to 6 p.m.
Okay. Perfect. So, and reservations are required at both places, right?
Reservations are not required. They are required for the dinners in Young.
Okay.
We recommend reservations. This location being a little bit smaller, it just makes it easier to ensure seating.
Perfect.
And in Young, you know, it just works a little better if you make a reservation.
It just helps everybody out.
Exactly.
So, well, again, thank you, James, for your time today.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. And so that's it for our episode today. Be sure to give us a like, give us a comment, a thumbs up, all that good stuff. We're on YouTube, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts. So until next time, be on the lookout for your own on the way moments. Bye for now.